Iron was a driving force, and it made industrial Britain what it is, including coal. But one of these iron towns that was developed in this country is Merthyr Tydfil. Merthyr was becoming the largest town in Wales, and almost like a mini capital city, to say the least. But a town forged by iron was forged by two men, and one of these men we'll be looking at in this short film is William Crawshay, who could be Wales's most important businessman. Cyfarthfa Ironworks. Now just ruins, this was once one of the biggest ironworks, or possibly the largest ironworks in the world. It was definitely important. Opening in 1765 by Sir Anthony Bacon. He opened it, was mixed in production. Sometimes it was good and sometimes it was really bad. But it would change once it was leased by Richard Crawshay some 20 years later. Crawshay's production began to improve Cyfarthfa, and in 1790 odd, Richard Crawshay purchased these works, and my God, didn't the fortune change in this place. Richard made Cyfarthfa into an absolute giant of an ironworks. Not just metaphorical, but literally. It became the largest. It became really important during the Napoleonic Wars, as it was produced to make cannonballs, which made the Crawshay family crest on it. As all this wealth, more investment was put elsewhere. The construction of this bridge was one of them, to feed the ironworks to the roads of Brecon, and also many other ironworks and facilities open. At Ynysfach there was a smaller ironworks subsidiary, and also the underdeveloped Treforest Tin Works was purchased by Crawshay. Business was booming in the early years. In 1810 he appointed his son, William I, to run his businesses. But now, with William being the sole heir of the family, he was more concerned about businesses elsewhere rather than Merthyr Tydfil. So he would go on to appoint his own son, William II, to run Cyfarthfa and here at Treforest Tin Works. Now enters the main man of the story, William Crawshay II. Born on the 27th of March 1788 in Pendolan in the Vale of Glamorgan, William Crawshay II was brought into this world by his father. At the time of Cyfarthfa Ironworks being made into what it is by William Crawshay Sr. and his father, Richard Crawshay, they did also have other businesses, mainly in London. In the East End area of London, they had a merchant's yard called George's Yard, which was ultimately the whole family's pride and joy and the key part of his wealth. But William didn't really see George's Yard, because he was here in Merthyr Tydfil all his life. William oversaw approximately 11,000 tonnes of pig iron being produced from 4 blast furnaces. This was massive for Cyfarthfa, and it was being sold across the world. Despite this success, William was still disputing. He was disputing with many people, including his own father, William Sr. And these disputes boiled over to a point where William Sr. wrote his son a letter, and it read, "My dear Will, don't play the fool. You are the Vice Royal of Cyfarthfa and will be sovereign early enough if you will be content to allow His present Majesty some shadow of royalty." These disputes would go on until William Sr.'s death in 1834, when William Crawshay became the sole beneficiary of Cyfarthfa's wealth, and he would become the main man in the iron industry after this. William always stood his ground, and not just with his father, it is to do with other ironmasters in the area. Look at Josiah John Guest of the Dowless Works, who was his biggest rival. Josiah was anti-radical and pro-truck system, while William was more radical and anti-truck system. And they would come to head a lot and try and outdo each other business-wise. He didn't have much of a relationship with any other ironmasters. I'm here in Penydarren, which are around about this area. At Penydarren Park, where the football ground is, would be an ironworks itself. But William was a strong-willed man, and this will go on for the rest of his life. Many of William's workers stated that he was a hard master, meaning that he wanted the job done in a very particular way and could have been seen cruel, but that's all is what is known about Crawshay. Crawshay, though, in his young years was an advocate for reform and radicalism. Unlike his rival Josiah John Guest of the Dowless Works, William was against the truck system. But then all this would boil over very, very soon. In 1831 was the Mercer Rising. I won't go too much into detail about that because I've already made a documentary about that. But just to give you the gist, the court of requests were confiscating items from people who couldn't pay their debts, hence trunks. They went to one man's house, Lewis, and tried to confiscate his trunk. And then he fought back. He led a march of protesters which turned violent into murder. They attacked the castle inn where Josiah John Guest and William Crawshay were hiding. Crawshay would leave the castle inn, ride it to Brecon to bring the Highland Foot Regiment down to attack on the protesters and defend the castle inn. So many people saw this as a betrayal by Crawshay, but the eventual collapse of the protests would happen. William's businesses started to thrive. By the 1830s, Treforest Tin Works was again a huge redevelopment with more blast furnaces and more sheds being produced. And also, it was starting to become profitable, just like his iron. William's greatest commission is here, Cyfarthfa Castle, a state home which was constructed for his family in 1820. It shows wealth, grandeur, and himself all through it. one of 15 towers. It hosts 72 rooms. William lived here with his first wife Isabella, before she would sadly pass away in 1827. He would live here also with the mistress of the house, which would be his future wife Bella. But with all this might and surviving the Merthyr uprising, William's wheels in motion, of course the wheels in motion, was the downfall of his iron empire. And sadly, it won't get any easier for Crawshay. And for some reason really unknown to a lot of people, William didn't decide to turn Crawshay Works into a steelworks under his reign. Unlike Josiah John Guest changed Douglas Works into a steel production plant as well, kind of made him the big player now in Merthyr. This change in production changed everything for Josiah, and he just became more powerful, Douglas became more profitable, and it didn't hit the economic downfall as fast as Crawshay under Crawshay. Maybe this is down to Crawshay's age. He was aging, he was about to leave Merthyr, and Josiah was just getting powerful. He was around about the same age, maybe a little bit older, but the decisions were made right. And as we know, Josiah John Guest would eventually become the first ever MP for Merthyr Tydfil. As the years rolled on, William and Bella would leave Crawshay Castle. They would go to another home that was built by the man who built Tower Bridge in Caversham Park in Reading. Sadly for William, this would be the end of his life. So he would go on to pass away in 1860, and he would leave a legacy in the iron industry. Now with the King of Iron gone from this world, he left his 2 ironworks and the tin works to his son Robert Thomas Crawshay, who is considered Merthyr's last great ironmaster. Robert was one of the last great ironmasters, and for Crawshay, sadly, when he would pass away, the slow sleepwalk into obscurity and closure would actually happen. Crawshay Ironworks did fall behind of the Guests, and it would eventually be sold to the Guest Keen Company. But Crawshay Ironworks did eventually turn into a steelworks, but the conversion wasn't successful and the ironworks failed, with it eventually closing in the 1920s. William Crawshay was one of Merthyr's last and Wales's last great ironmasters. He was considered to be one of the best in the world, running an ironworks the way it should be and building himself a wealth, as you can see behind me. But he did forge Merthyr by iron, but he did forge himself in a different way, and that legacy will forever live on. Thank you for watching this short film.